we also say twin day here, which means let's go. Jumbo, everyone. Good morning. My name is Evan. I'm your sport guide here today at the Harambe Wildlife Reserve. And a couple safety reminders before we do get out there. Please stay seated throughout the entire duration of our journey, keeping your hands, arms, feet, and legs inside of the truck at all times as well. It gets pretty bumpy out there, so please stay seated. That is for your own safety. Take a look up at that animal spotting guide that's above your head. That's going to help you identify some of these animals that have been spotted here on the reserve in the past. Now, as you can see, there are a lot of animals up there on that list, and this place is very, very large, so we probably will not get to see all of them, but we are going to try our absolute best. I definitely recommend keeping your phones or your cameras out and ready, though, because I cannot stop for all of these animals either. And we're just going to hang out here for a few moments before we do get that all clear from our warden. Now, is this anyone's first time here on the safari?
Yes.
Awesome. Welcome in, everyone, and all of you coming back. Welcome back. Should be a fantastic morning to see some animals out there. We're going to get on the move in just a few moments as soon as we get that all clear from our warden. Which is right now. Now, I have been given that all clear to start our journey here in the Little Turi Forest. Now, the forest is very dense with leaves, vegetation, and foliage, and a lot of the animals that live here like to hide. But I already see a few of them coming up on our left-hand side. We're going to see two different species of antelope. There's going to be a greater kudu and the bongo. Now, the greater kudu is going to be that tannish grayish color one. The bongo is hiding a little bit farther back there. They're copper-colored, white stripes and large horns. This animal on our right-hand side is an okapi, that beautiful brown animal with white stripes at the bottom of their legs. The okapi is really special because for the longest time, we didn't know if the okapi was real or not. They were considered myths or legends until they were formally discovered in 1901. And that is when we did find out that that animal right there is the closest living relative to the giraffe. We know that because of their skull structure. It's basically the exact same, even though they have stripes like a zebra. Now we're going to continue to move through the forest here because I do see a pretty large bird coming up on our right-hand side in the nest. We're going to see a saddle-billed stork, which is this black and white colored bird, getting its name for that yellow-shaped shield on top of their bill. That is a very, very large bird. They can get up to around 5 feet tall and have a wingspan of 9 feet wide. However, that bird is not nearly as large as the black rhinoceros, which is that animal laying right there on our left. Kind of looks like a giant boulder on its side. That is the largest forest-dwelling animal, weighing 3,000 pounds. Even though they are still 3,000 pounds, they're pretty shy, reclusive, and rare. They like to live by themselves. And just a few years ago, there were less than 5,000 black rhinos in the entire world. Now, while they are still critically endangered, their numbers are slowly rising thanks to some awesome conservation efforts. Now, hopefully we'll be able to find that other species of rhino that does live here on the reserve. They're one of my favorite animals. Let's see if we can find any other animals that are living here in the forest. I don't know if we're going to see anyone else. We'll take a look down here by this small watering hole. I don't think I see anyone else. Actually, there's another saddle-billed stork. Way down there behind that wall, hiding pretty well. So we'll move on here. We're going to take our next right. This should lead us down to the Safi River Valley, which is the largest river here on the reserve. It's very large, very wide. It's going to run for miles on it. So today we're searching for any animals that might be located maybe above or below the surface of the river. So let's see what we can find down here. Now it looks like there are going to be some more birds coming up on our right-hand side. Down on the island there, we're going to see the pink-backed pelican. Those gray birds getting their name for the pink skin on their backs, not their feathers. As you can see, those feathers are rather gray and dull. But they're one of the largest flighted birds in the entire world. However, not nearly as large as what looks like floating logs under the surface there. However, those are Nile hippos. There's two of them submerged right under the surface on our right-hand side, right there by that log. Those are one of the largest animals living here on the reserve. A fully grown Nile hippo will weigh 5,500 pounds, 5,500. Now we're going to keep our eyes peeled over on the left. I'm looking for more hippos. This is hippo territory. We're looking for things like ripples, bubbles, any kind of disturbances in the water. Could indicate that there might be a hippo below it because they are semi-aquatic animals and they will spend the majority of their day under the water. I'm not seeing anyone at the moment, but there is one more spot that I do want to check out where sometimes we can find pretty large groups of hippos. Hippos are rarely ever seen out of the water. If they are, it would probably be at night to find food. And it looks like we're going to see a bunch more on our left. Look down by the waterfalls there. There's like 5 or 6 of them over there. hanging out right underneath that water hole. A pretty large group of them. That is a float or a hippo. P-L-O-A-T. That is a good name for hippo. Now look down there on the left. Look at those reptiles. Those are Nile crocodiles, one of the deadliest animals that does live here on the reserve. Now crocodiles are opportunistic hunters, which means that they will generally eat whatever comes in on a daily basis. Now, unlike this fish, however, they will try to find one full meal to eat. And a full meal to a Nile crocodile is going to be around up to half of their body weight, 250 pounds worth of food in one singular sitting. They are very aggressive, dangerous, and territorial, following being the only cold-blooded reptile that lives here on the reserve. Now, our scenery is about to change in some pretty drastic ways. We're about to make our way down into the savannah. Before we do go down there, I want to talk about this baobab tree here on our right. It's a very, very important tree. A lot of people call it upside down trees because it looks like it's upside down, but actually a better name for it is probably the tree of life, because it's going to provide water to some of these animals that live out here, especially during those dry seasons. But we're now going to be making our way down into the Serengeti grasslands of the savannah. This is the largest, most open and widest section of the reserve here. It's home to a lot of migrating animals, so we're going to do our best to see what we can find out here. I already do see a few animals, including the tallest land mammal in the world. However, this one's not really that tall. In fact, he's just a baby. On our right-hand side, we will see a baby giraffe, the newest member of the reserve here. There's a wildebeest over in that corner. We'll come back to the wildebeest. Check out that little guy over there. He's about 2 months old, stands about 7 feet tall. There is a much larger giraffe in the bushes there, over there behind that tree. We'll get closer to them in a few moments for sure, but check out these zebras here on our right. These are Hartman's mountain zebra, the smallest species of zebra in the world. And we know that because if you look at their stripes, they stop right before their underbellies. This is a group of zebras, and we call a group of them a dazzle because their coats can dazzle and confuse predators when they line up together. It's really hard to see when one zebra starts or when one stops. They kind of just bleed together into one giant group of zebras. These are grazing animals. They'll spend the majority of their day eating the grass off the ground, unlike giraffes, who are browsers. They eat grass off of trees and off of bushes. That is what being a browser means. Now, unlike grazers or browsers, coming up on our left-hand side, I already see a predator, those being African painted dogs. They're laying down actually really close to us here on the left. Just look right there. There's like 3 or 4 of them laying down there. Look at their spotted coats. These are one of the most successful hunters in the entire savannah. They're actually better at hunting than lions and hyenas combined, and that is thanks to their excellent teamwork. They can chase their prey down for nearly 3 miles at a time and sustain speeds of around 35 miles per hour. They're very, very good hunters. Now there's 2 animals with horns coming up here on the left, but very, very different horns. The brown animals with really big horns are the Ankole cattle, and then those smaller animals with much sharper horns are sable antelopes. Now, sable antelopes are the emblem of our reserve here because they're one of the few prey animals that will actually choose to fight and stand their ground when presented with a threat. Most of these animals will just run. And the Ankole cattle is one of 2 animals living here that is a domesticated animal. They were actually domesticated nearly 2,000 years ago by the Watusi tribe. Now we're going to get a little bit of a better view of this group of giraffes, and we call a group of them a tower because they will tower over every single land mammal in the world. They are significantly the tallest. Looks like I'm seeing maybe 5 of them out here. Now every single giraffe, every single zebra, and every single dog is unique. No 2 of them are the same. That's how they can tell each other apart. They have the jagged edges on their spots. Kind of looks like puzzle pieces. Fits together to make one masterpiece of a coat. Now giraffes will spend the majority of their day doing a few things, one of them being standing. Giraffes will rarely ever sit down, and also eating. Giraffes will eat for 16 hours out of their entire day. Like I said, they are browsers, so they will browse for food off of trees and bushes, and we are going to have a fantastic view of this little dude over here on our right-hand side. Giraffes are pregnant for about a year, so longer than us, but not as long as some of the other mammals that are out here on the reserve. What's up, buddy? You can see his little ossicones on top of his head. They kind of look like horns, but they are not. They're just part of his skull structure and then wrapped in skin and covered with fur around them. See that other giraffe there on the right. And you can also see those wildebeest over there as well, those small gray antelopes. Wildebeest are one of the most common species of antelopes in the world. A normal wildebeest herd is going to have around 10,000 different individuals inside of them. But the highest ever wildebeest migration recorded had around 1.5 million of them. It is a very, very large migration, especially during the migration, or the Great Migration, which is the largest period of the year. Now, there's two different antelope species that are coming up on our right-hand side. One of them is walking away from us. There's going to be elands. They are both walking away from us, so I don't know if we're going to be able to see them from here. We're going to have to probably move a little bit farther to see them. There's also those really small brown ones with white underbellies. Those are springbok. Springbok are really special because they're the smallest antelopes living here on the reserve. They're only about 2 feet tall, but definitely don't let their size fool you. These springbok can run nearly 60 miles per hour. That's 60, not 16, putting them in the top 10 fastest land mammals in the world, right behind the cheetah. They're very, very fast and very, very good jumpers. That is why they are called springbok. Now we're going to continue to move on here. I don't know if we're going to be able to see anyone else on this part of the savannah. Let's take a look over on the right-hand side. We might be able to see those springbok over there, but we're going to go left. That is going to take us out to the northern section of the savannah, where we can normally find some pretty interesting animals over here. In fact, you can already see a bunch of trees that have been knocked down here on both sides of the truck. There could maybe be a larger animal out here on this part of the savannah that's been knocking down those trees. So we'll keep an eye out, see if we can find anyone who might have been knocking down these trees. Now, I don't see anyone at the moment. So we're going to take a left here, head over towards this watering hole. Maybe see if we can find anyone over here. A lot of animals are normally found by watering holes just due to the fact that all of them need water. Some of them need a lot more than others. I am not seeing anyone. That's a lie. Look on your right. There's an African elephant way up there in the distance. That is the largest land mammal in the entire world. A fully grown male African elephant can weigh 13,000 pounds or 6.5 tons. They are extremely, extremely large, and they are the bulldozers of the savannah. They knock down trees, making it a little bit easier for them to grab food, because elephants need a lot of food. Around 300 pounds worth of food is eaten per day. You can see right there on your right, you can see them a little bit better. Now we know that this is a male because he is by himself currently. Males are solitary animals. They're kicked out of their families at a young age, and that is normal for elephants. So we're gonna move on here, maybe see if we can go find some female elephants, but sadly it's becoming harder and harder to find elephants in the wild, and that's due to a number of things like poaching, which is at some really alarming rates, but also habitat loss. The habitat loss is no joke, and it affects almost every single one of these animals living out here, including that beautiful elephant that we saw there, who are losing their homes due to things like mining for coltan, which is a mineral found in things like your cell phones and your electronics. So one really easy way that you can help elephants out is just by simply recycling your electronics. By conserving, reusing, and repurposing those minerals inside of them towards new projects, it's a really easy way that we can help protect those elephants and help slow the decline in their numbers. So please recycle your electronics. It's a really easy way that you can help them. Now, speaking of those elephants, if you look down on your right-hand side in the clay there, you're going to see a bunch of tusk marks and a lot of footprints on our left. There's probably been a herd of elephants in the area recently. In fact, you can see a few there on your left-hand side. Those are going to be female elephants, just simply because they are being social. Now, female elephants won't get quite as large as males, but they'll still get up to 8,000 pounds, which is larger than any other mammal that is living out here on the reserve. Female elephants are very smart, complex, and intelligent animals. They'll basically spend their entire lives together, from birth all the way until passing. And throughout their life, their social status will change because they're part of a matriarch, which means that they're led by the oldest and wisest female, and then a bunch of other females and their young. No males allowed. Let's see if we get a better view of these females. They're hanging out over by this water hole. It's a little bit off in the distance here. Everything about elephants is large, whether it be the large size of their ears, their trunk, or their tusks. You can see those beautiful ivory tusks over there on the left-hand side, which is sadly the main reason that they are poached. Also, look at that baby elephant on your left. She's right by that rock there. She kind of looks like a big rock herself. She's a little bit, she's almost a year and a half old. She weighs around 1,000 pounds, which is pretty large. Elephants have the longest gestation period of any land mammal. Her mama was pregnant with her for 22 months, nearly 2 years that elephants are pregnant for. However, that is not her mom next to her, that is her mom. It's pretty awesome that we are able to see a baby elephant just due to that long gestation period. That is the only way that they're able to get to that large size other than just eating food. I think there was one that was down by this watering hole. Yeah, you can see her on the left, using that large trunk, grabbing some of the food there. Their trunk is very, very important to them. It has nearly 100,000 muscles inside of it. That's more than the entire human body just inside of the trunk. Yes, these are flamingos. These are greater flamingos down here on our left-hand side. Greater means larger. This is the largest species of flamingo in the world. They're known for that distinct pink coloring, made from a protein in their diet called beta-carotene. And while these are the largest species of flamingo, they're also the dullest in that pink color. There's that eland on our right, hiding right there behind that log. I was wondering where it went. That is the largest antelope species in the world. He can weigh 2,200 pounds when fully grown, which is very, very large, especially for an antelope. Now, speaking of large, I did just see the largest elephant living here on the reserve, the bull elephant of the herd. He's going to be just on our left-hand side. There's a clearing in just a moment. We should hopefully be able to see him. There he is. Look there on the left. That is the oldest, wisest, and largest elephant living here. He is actually around 13,000 pounds. He's very, very large. But now we're in this next section of the savannah. It's a little bit more dense than the previous one. There's a pretty big mud pit there on our left. Mud is really, really useful for a lot of these animals, especially the elephant, because they will use it to help protect their skin from things like the sun. Elephants sunburn very easily, just like me and you, so they use that sun to help protect their skin. There's white rhinos on our right-hand side. They're kind of an interesting spot, so I'm going to slowly roll by. Hopefully we can see them better in a few moments. Those are my favorite animals, the largest, or second largest land mammals in the world, only second to the elephants. They're pretty quick, especially for 6,000-pound animals. However, they are not nearly as quick as these predators that I just saw walking in front of us, those being cheetahs. Let's see if we can find these cheetahs. I just saw this cheetah walking around. Okay, so there's at least two. One way back there in the brush that's walking around. There's two more right here. These are the fastest land mammals in the world. Cheetahs can run 60 to 70 miles per hour, and they're going to reach that speed in 3 seconds. They're very, very fast. Really good at accelerating. They can use those speeds in short, quick bursts to grab their prey. And most of the time, they're going to hunt during the day, which is just really unique, especially for cats. Most cats hunt at night. Most cats are also solitary. Cheetahs are not. You can see one more there on your left. Most cheetahs hang out with other cheetahs, which is pretty rare for cats. One of my favorite things about the cheetah is that they're not considered to be big cats because they won't roar. Instead, they're just going to purr, meow, and chirp like house cats or birds. So while they're large cats, they're technically not big cats, and that is because they won't roar. And that's safe for animals who do like tigers, like jaguars, or yes, animals like the lion. Now we're going to keep our eyes glued over on the left-hand side. The reason being is that there are a bunch of rocks over there. Those are called copy rocks. Sometimes animals like to get up on them. Okay, so if you turn your heads, there's a line at the very top of the rock. She's perched, turned around us. We're going to swing around this corner here, maybe see if we can see her. She's definitely got her eyes on something. She looks like she's about to pounce on something way up there. That is a big cat. Her roar can be heard around 5 miles away. She's very, very loud, using that roar to communicate. Also to intimidate their prey. Oh, look, there's 3 of them. 2 right there at the lower part of the rock, and 1 way up there. They have their eyes set on something. This is a pride or a group of lions, generally consisting of 1 male, 2 to 5 females, and their young. 1 male is right in the middle of them, 2 females on both sides of him. Of course, we know that he's a male because of that mane. Only the male lion will have that mane. She's got definitely a great view on whatever she's looking at up there. The females are the hunters of the group. They'll go out at night and hunt down basically anything that they want. They have excellent eyesight, especially during the nighttime. Amazing, amazing cats, big cats of the world. Now we're going to be passing by some burrows here on our left-hand side, and over there on your left, just in the corner, you'll see what looks like fuzzy rocks. Those are warthogs. There's 3 of them back there behind that tree. Those are the largest burrowing animals in the world. They will dig those large holes to help protect themselves from predators. They're pretty territorial. They will use their large tusks as well. They're kind of sharp like razors, so they can help defend themselves. Now these animals on our right, the white rhino, are definitely a lot less territorial. They are non-territorial just due to the fact that they don't have any natural predators in the wild. No one chooses to go after rhinos just due to their unique size. They are 6,000-pound animals who can charge 35 miles per hour. So that is the incentive for animals to not go after them. Beautiful, beautiful animals, very peaceful, social, gentle, like I said, non-territorial. They'll get that large size by just eating a lot of food. Now, rhinos and warthogs can run around the same speed, which is pretty impressive considering their size. Very, very differently sized animals. But take a look down on your right-hand side. Speaking of size, those are ostrich eggs, the largest eggs in the entire world. They can weigh 3 pounds apiece, or 24 chicken eggs as an equivalent. And I know we didn't see any ostriches out there, but they actually don't have to be by their eggs all the time. They can just kind of come back and check on them periodically. But that is going to do it for the savannah. Now we're now going to be making our way into this next ecosystem here, the final part of the reserve, the Magadi Glen, which is home to the Warden's Coast. And at the Warden's Coast, he does usually keep some domesticated animals here, these being Nigerian dwarf goats over on our left-hand side. These are very friendly, social animals, and they're domesticated just due to the fact that they'll produce a sweet milk and a cheese that can be used for trade. You can see some of them up there on the top of the Warden's Coast there. They are excellent climbers. They have an amazing sense of natural balance, so they love to climb all over each other and clearly all of the Warden's stuff. Now they're also going to spend a lot of their day grazing. They love to eat food. It's how they keep going for a lot of their day. And they like to headbutt each other. It's kind of like their way of saying what's up, maybe giving each other a high five or a fist bump. But sadly, we are headed back towards the villages of Harambe, so our safari is coming to a close. I'll talk about conservation one last time. A lot of these animals that we saw out here today are endangered animals, and I like to ask the why question. You know, why are we here today? Why are we on a safari? Why are we even on a reserve in the first place? You know, what's the point of all this? Well, in simple terms, a reserve is just a piece of land that's been saved or reserved for these animals to call home. Because honestly, guys, these animals are losing their homes. Some of them don't even have a place to live in the wild anymore. So they come to a reserve like this where they can be protected from things like poaching, habitat loss, and deforestation, just to name a few of the issues that they're facing right now. And what can we do to help them? There are so many things that we can do to help these animals out, but I recommend doing easy things like recycling. So reduce, reuse, and recycle everything that you can, whether that be your plastics, electronics, or paper products. Recycling is really easy. Every single one of us can do it. Another great thing that we all can do is just learning. If you saw an animal and you love that, then go home, do some research on them by learning and then sharing what we learned. It's one of the best ways that we can help these animals out. So to challenge you all, don't let your learning stop here. Continue to educate yourselves on some of these amazing animals that we share our planet with, including any animals that might be back in your own local communities. You know, everyone needs help in them every once in a while, including those animals back at home. If there were any wilderness explorers on board today, you've been on the Simba 1, that's SIMBA1. You'll get your badge out at the exit. Look for the person with an orange bag. Now, I'm about to drop you off here in just a few moments, but we don't like to say goodbye here in Harambe. That's because we believe goodbyes are far too sad and far too final. So I'm going to leave you all with one last Swahili word, which is going to be Kwaherini.
That's the one.
Kwaherini means to go well, so go well, everyone. Go well, go wild. Have a great rest of your day here today or wherever your next adventure takes you. Most importantly, be sure to go out there and make a difference on the world. It's up to every single one of us in order to protect this place. My name is Evan. Thank you all so much for joining me here today. This morning we had a fantastic story out there. Thank you all so much. I appreciate you all.
Thank you, Evan.
On the right-hand side, watch.